when you don't understand it all, thinking, oh my God, I'm on antidepressants and it's not working.
Right.
I'm on sleep pills and it's still not working.
Yeah.
I'm taking beta blockers, it's still not working. Like there's something inherently wrong with me. And yeah, that feeling of like there's something wrong with me, and feeling like feeds the loneliness that you feel when you have the insomnia. It just, it's a very dark place. I feel like as a person, I've actually changed a lot, because I'm still not very good at it, but I've definitely improved at letting go and accepting. That is such a huge part, I think, of recovery.
Hi, community. Welcome to a very special episode of Talking Insomnia. I have Simone with me today, who has agreed to share her story with us on the channel. We're so grateful for you deciding to share your story with us. Thanks for being here with me today, Simone.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad you reached out to share your story. These help the community so much. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. Can you give us like the background, just to kind of tell us where your story begins? When did insomnia start for you? Just walk us through it.
Okay. If I'm looking to the side, it's because I've got notes.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
So it first started during COVID. So it was either 2020 or 2021.
Okay.
And I was in a bit of a difficult situation on top of like COVID, which was terrible for everybody. And I think I was kind of, do you know Friends? The series Friends?
The sitcom, yes, I love it.
Yeah. That episode where Ross is like, I'm fine. That was me. Like major denial.
Love that episode. Yes.
So, yeah, like I think that was probably what kind of triggered it all, but we'll probably talk about this later. Daniel does talk about like how there are specific like personality types as well that are more prone to this. But in my external environment, yeah, it was like a lot of like pushing down emotions and stuff. So I started to like, I feel like it started quite like all-nighters from the beginning. All-nighters, I was like freaking out because I was like, what is happening? Like, I've never been, in the past, I was never somebody like that could fall asleep like that. I do have like quite a busy mind before bed, but I'd never like had all-nighters or had that much difficulty sleeping. And I started to take medication to help me sleep, because I was like really panicked, like major panic, major anxiety.
As most people experience it. Did you go to the doctor? Did you went down that route?
No, I think they were just like over-the-counter medications at that point, because at this point I was in France actually. I was locked down in France. Yeah, and along with that were the hypnic jerks, like the crazy adrenaline rushes, hypnic jerks.
Yes.
That as soon as like I was like starting to relax, that would happen, and then I'd be like, oh my God, what is happening? Like I feel like terror, it was like terror, like, and I felt so alone, and yeah, just like the whole confusion of it was like, what is happening? So I'm not sure how long that went on for, but I eventually physically removed myself from the situation and went back to Scotland. and it was on and off still in 2021 when I went back to Scotland,
Okay.
but it was not as bad. But it was still like something that I was scared of, something that if I was worried about things, it would happen again. And then 2022, my situation changed, my external situation changed again. And I think I went through about 6 months or slightly less of, oh my God, it's gone. And yeah, the belief was like, oh my God, it's gone. This is so great. I've done it. I've conquered it. But underneath that was still this like intense fear of like, oh my God,
Yeah.
what if it comes back? It was so like hanging over me all of the time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I
so
understand.
yeah.
It's very common.
Yeah. And it's such a horrible feeling to have hanging over you all the time. It's
Yeah.
always like there in the background. So it's like this false sense of safety almost.
Yeah,
Um,
that fear is pretty powerful, right? It's strong and it just keeps like that program running. Yeah.
yeah. So then in 2022, something triggered it again. And just like the complete, like, oh no, like, I think probably underlying was a bit of I failed. I thought I conquered this. Like, oh my God, it's back. When is it
Hmm.
going to end?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And then, you know what? I'm not sure at what point in the timeline that I found the sleep coach school on YouTube. It might have been around now in 2022.
Okay.
Um,
That's what I was going to ask you when you
hmm.
found the sleep coach school.
Or it may have even been earlier, but hmm. Even if I did find it in 2021 or 2022, it was like at the beginning, it was more like, oh my God, there are other people like me. There are other people that understand what I'm going through, rather than me really like getting a grasp on the the concepts that would
Yeah.
help me recover.
Yeah.
Um,
Totally get that.
so 2023, it was on and off. The beginning of 2024, I hit a really low point at the beginning of 2024. And it's so interesting now. I'll just say this, that low point was such a catalyst for change in my life in so many other ways. But it was horrible. It was horrific. I felt like I was going crazy. I was crying all the time. I felt so lonely. Nobody understood what I was going through. It used to drive me nuts when people, I would say, like, I'm going through this, and they'd be like, oh, have you tried putting lavender on your pillow? Or, you know,
Yeah.
the usual
Yes.
stuff like melatonin. And oh my God, I went through all of that. I went through so many different sleep efforts, and it's really funny how the universe works because I'm clearing out my room just now, and I found like this old coloring book that I
Oh,
at one point I would use that like a bit unwillingly, like when I couldn't sleep I would use that to try and befriend wakefulness.
yeah.
And I and I also found, like, I'd written about beliefs that I had about sleep and trying to reframe them and stuff. So that's
Hmm.
funny because it just reminded me like how consumed I was with all of this.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so 2024, um, I at the beginning, I think I started to watch the sleep coach school like way more, just
Okay.
even for like the comfort of watching the success stories or even just feeling validated in what was happening to me and feeling like, okay, I'm not like going insane, because when you're in the depth of it really feels like you're going insane, like you're going
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, when you don't understand what's happening, right? It's like so confusing. So it sounds like when you found the channel, started watching a lot of the YouTube videos and getting some education, it really helped to at least demystify the whole experience,
Mm.
understanding, okay, I'm not going crazy. All of this is normal. There's other people going through this too. I'm not alone. So that sounds like that was a really helpful part.
Yeah, especially for the hypnic jerks, like the
Mm,
adrenaline rushes, because when you have that and
yeah.
you have never heard of that before, it's like, what is going on with my body right now? At one point, I was even taking beta blockers to try
Hmm.
and stop that. I took like medication here and there, and most of the time it would work a bit, and then it would not. It would start to stop working. Um, so at the end of 2024 is when I joined the Bedtime app for a couple of months, and then I joined the immunity program for a couple of months too. But I feel
Wonderful.
like, yeah, I feel like at that point, this is like the end of 2024 at this point, and I think probably I'd been watching videos, I'd read Nato, I'd read Daniel's other book as well a couple of times, so I was starting to like really understand
Hmm.
what was going on, and the sneaky subtle ways that we kind of self-sabotage almost. So with the Bedtime app and the immunity program, I feel like I actually was recovering already at that point, but I was in that really sticky stage where you feel like, okay, I understand everything, I'm doing everything right, but my external world is not reflecting that back to me yet. So
Yeah. Yep.
you kind of feel like a bit like not disappointed, but like, oh, like, oh,
Is
when
anything
is
gonna
this?
ever change? Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like when I joined Bedtime and Immunity, I was actually further in my journey than I thought. But because, yeah, I was getting so desperate to even just like be around other people that were in the same situation as me. And I had a call. It was a bit difficult with the immunity program because I live in Vietnam, so
Yeah.
that I couldn't do like the normal times of calls. I had to do like the special time. But
Hmm.
I did get to speak to Coach Christian, and he was really great. He was really, really
Awesome.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
so that was like November 2024 or like the end of 2024. And
Okay.
then 2025, I think I had a few blips at the beginning of 2025, but we're in April now. And I
Hmm.
think it's so weird. And you guys all talk about this, that there's not really a moment where you're like, oh my God, I'm healed. It's more
Yeah.
like, I don't know, like weeks and months pass, and then you're like, oh, I'm I'm fine, and my beliefs are different, and I know I'm never gonna go back to that dark place. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I'm at now.
Yeah, you put it in such a really concise story there, but it's so true, and I resonate with so much of what you shared. You know, it's like there is this period of time where it's almost like we're in this liminal space where we have all the understandings, we have all the education, we really do get it, but there's a lag time, right, between understanding it
Mm,
cognitively and intellectually and actually having that change occur deep within where that new neural pathway actually is formed within our
mhm,
brain. And that's part of our brain where this fear program is running. And so there really is a time lapse. And it does require this experiential learning, which you obviously have had, where you just go through it so much that you understand that you're going to be okay, that this isn't a real threat. And your brain starts to see that, right? It starts to really understand that on a deep level, intrinsic level. And I think that's where the biggest change happens, right? And
mhm,
it's like you said, it's really subtle. It's this subtle, like, oh, I actually feel like not so attached to that experience. I'm not so worried about the night. Like I just I just have less of an emotional reaction
mhm.
to whatever happens at night. And that is where the change really starts to happen. And it's so cool when it does. But you're right. It's not like there's bells and whistles or like, a big destination. It just doesn't work like that. It's a very subtle kind of a feeling within that we somehow have this inner knowing that,
Mm,
wow, I'm okay. And I'm going to be okay no matter what happens. And I can't go back to where I was knowing all this that I know, not just here intellectually, but really deep, deep within. And it sounds like from what you've explained, that's the experience that you've had, which is so, so wonderful. So happy for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm so happy, and I really wanted to share because for me, the success stories, like I was hanging on to them like a float. Like
Yeah.
I was
I
drowning and I was hanging on, like, ah!
I totally get that. They do become these like life rafts, I think, because we recognize ourselves, right, in so many of
Mm,
the stories that we hear. And like you were saying before we even hit record, like this was a over 4 year journey for you. So it's hard to tell this story in just a few minutes that spanned over 4+ years, and how extremely difficult it was and how many ups and downs you went through.
mhm,
And so I really like to just make sure that our community does understand, like, when we
mhm.
say healing and recovery is not linear, like, this is what we mean. It's really up and down for quite some time until we become more okay with whatever the experience it is in the nighttime. And right, I mean, is that kind of how you experienced it?
Yeah, and if I look over my journey, there's no pattern or predictability about the healing of it. It is like just all over the place. Yeah,
It
completely.
is. It
But like
really, really is.
yeah, like just to maybe like highlight the depth of what it was like when it was really bad. Like I tried every all of the sleep efforts ever. I read
Hmm.
Sasha Stevens' book. I oh my god, I've written down some of the sleep efforts, but it's probably not everything. Like melatonin, meditating, CBD oil, breathing, the same bedtime every night, beta blockers for the hypnic jerks, like tea,
Yeah,
like everything, and just
all of it.
that
Did you
feeling
ever
like
did you ever go see a doctor? Did you go the medical route at all? It sounds like maybe you didn't. It was all over the counter stuff.
no, no, because wait, I went to be completely transparent. I did go, well, I was in therapy at some points during this.
Oh yeah,
Um,
me too.
yeah. And at some points, I was on antidepressants
Hmm.
for anxiety. But to be honest, if I didn't have insomnia, I feel like maybe the anxiety would have been way more manageable. And yeah, the antidepressants, on like in my head, it was like, oh, this is gonna fix it. And it did for a bit because I believed that it would fix it.
Right.
But
Yeah.
then it came back again. So yeah,
Yeah. And
just
just
like
a little, yeah. And just a caveat there, like, so when we haven't dealt with the root cause, right, of all this, the fear, that fear, which leads, of course, to the hyperarousal, the anxiety, the hypnic jerks, all these experiences that you're having. And when we are really in that elevated state of hyperarousal and anxiety, and we're in that fight or flight mode, it can override any medication we throw at it, or any supplement, or anything, because it's actually by design. Because if we were facing a real actual danger, we would want our brain to alert and put us in that fight or
mhm,
flight mode for protection. And so it's kind of the same thing with this, right? So it's not that the med isn't, effective, it's that our system will override it to protect us, because it thinks that that what we're experiencing is dangerous, wakefulness, anxiety, when of course it's not. But this whole journey is about teaching the brain and showing the brain by new reactions and how we respond in this new way, that it really is safe and it's not dangerous. So, but I'm really glad you shared that, because it's a really common part of most people's journeys when they go through this. I was on an antidepressant for a while as
mhm,
well. It really helped me to build capacity to
mhm,
learn how to be with the discomfort, right? It certainly didn't bypass the inner struggle. No med can do that. That's always our work to do. But what it did do when I was so overwhelmed and really unstable, is it helped me to build the capacity to be able to face the fear, to face the discomfort in this new way, right? So in that regard, it was incredibly helpful. So I think it's really great that you shared that with us, because that just really makes so much sense. And I know that
mhm.
our community knows a lot about this. So so thanks for
Mhm.
your transparency too.
Yeah, you're welcome. And just like around that as well, I agree. It definitely helped me to have the capacity. It didn't heal or it didn't make me recover, but it certainly helped me to have a bit more of a positive disposition.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
another thing that before I understood it all, that was very, very scary was when you don't understand it all, thinking, oh my God, I'm on antidepressants and it's not working.
Right.
I'm on sleep pills and it's still not working.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
taking beta blockers, it's still not working. Like there's something inherently wrong with me. And yeah, that feeling of like there's something wrong with me, and
Yeah.
that feeling like feeds the loneliness that you feel when you
Mm-hmm.
have the
Mm-hmm.
insomnia. It just, oh, it's a
Yeah.
very dark place.
Yeah, it feeds the struggle too, right? Because when we don't know what's going on, and we don't understand even just the neurology of the brain and why it's responding this way, right? It does feel like, gosh, something is like deeply wrong. Like if all of this
Yeah.
stuff that I'm throwing at it doesn't touch it, right? Like I'm uniquely broken. And the truth
Hmm.
of that is, of course, that no, you're not. Your brain's responding exactly as all brains do. And
Hmm.
it's actually like what Daniel always says, and I love it, it's like a feature, not a bug of the system, right?
Hmm.
But when we don't know that, like when we are just like throwing everything we can at it, we go to doctors, they're giving us this, medication that's gonna help, and our hyperarousal anxiety will override that. It's really a scary place to be when we don't understand what's happening. I very much was with there too, so I resonate completely with what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
very
And
much.
even like I personally had a moment where, yeah, like you said, I didn't go to the doctor so much, but when I did, I kind of had this moment where I lost faith in the medical system. And I was
Right.
like, oh my God, like they don't really know. And if you look on Reddit and other websites where people are really like in the depth of this insomnia, a lot of people will say like, yeah, the doctors, like they only get so many hours of training about insomnia or something. I don't know if it's the same all over the world, maybe just in the UK, I'm not sure. But when I was looking into it, I was like, oh my God, if they don't know what to do, like how how can how can
I
I heal
know.
this? Like,
Yeah, it gets to be really scary and overwhelming when you're going to these professionals, right? And they don't understand what's
mm,
happening. And I really am so hopeful that our way of teaching is getting more and more into the mainstream, because I
mm,
know how it helped me, and I've seen it help
mm,
so, hundreds and thousands of other people. And I'm so grateful for that. But it does seem like it's going to take some time to get
mm,
this new way, this understanding into the larger mainstream medical world. But I do think it's happening. I see signs of it, and
mm,
so I think that's really, really positive. um, and even for me, my experience, like when I went to a doctor, told them about the program, and they at least feigned interest. They were like, oh, that sounds really cool. Tell me
yeah,
about what you've been doing, because I was getting better.
mm,
And they were like, wow, well, that's great, because everything they gave me was not effective. So it was really cool to have that conversation, and at least they feigned interest, wrote down the information. So
yeah,
little by little, right?
yeah. And it's interesting because like it's not I'm not so much in this world now, but when you are in it, you're like researching everything and you get so
Absolutely.
wrapped up. But a lot of people, the sleep hygiene,
Oh yeah, that's the
sleep
biggest thing they tell you.
like it's actually so counterproductive, and I think it was for me because I am very like perfectionist, type A person. Do everything has to be like this. So to have this thing where it's almost like you can get addicted to the rigidity of the sleep hygiene,
Yeah, yep,
it makes you focus on it even more, and it just like exacerbates. I know like it can
totally.
help some people, but I know
Yeah,
for a lot of people it's the opposite.
yeah. I think when it gets into the realm of insomnia, right? Like once it's developed into insomnia, which is a conditioned fear response when our brain is misidentifying wakefulness as a threat, right? This is what perpetuates this struggle. Um, and if people are just using these kind of sleep hygiene things as a way for sleep optimization, and they don't have insomnia,
Mm, mm,
like
mm,
I agree with you, like it maybe there's some, it could be beneficial for some people. But once it's crossed that line, and it's like now it's not, it's like it's a neural pathway that's happening,
mm,
and no sleep hygiene is going to touch that. Right? It's like now this requires some deep change, right, on a neurological level. And so this is what we talk about when we're doing this, is it's like when we respond differently, we create a new neural pathway, a new learned this behavior that's going to replace this old learned behavior. And that's what's so cool about it. I mean, I
Mhm.
geek out about it because I love it so much, but
Me
but
too.
yeah, I know I can tell. I've like got a fellow aficionado with me here. So um yeah, this is so great. I love how you've shared your story so clearly with us today. Do you have any other little things you want to add before ask you our final questions?
Yeah, let me check my notes.
Okay, yeah.
Mm, maybe some realizations that I had and
Yeah, that's great.
why 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 because before I said in 2024 that I actually it was my lowest point, but it was a huge
Yes.
catalyst. um, but yeah, some of the things that really helped me. Well, first of all, just realizing I wasn't going crazy,
Yeah,
realizing
that's a big
that
one.
the hypnic jerks, that was like a normal bodily response, realizing that um, with the medication that it was more about what my beliefs around the medication, like
Hmm.
what Daniel says in NATO, like if you take it thinking it's going to work, it will work. But if you take it thinking my insomnia is stronger than this, then so it is. So it was really uh, an illustration of how powerful our thoughts are.
Yeah, belief is so powerful. Yeah.
Um, so linking to that a little bit, oh my god, I've got so much to say. There's so many lessons that you learn. It's
Oh, it's
crazy.
so true. It's so true.
So one of them is that. So basically, the reason why this was a catalyst for my greatest change is that it led me to get into Dr. Joe Dispenza's work as well. Have you ever
Oh
heard of
yeah,
it?
I have. I've read many of his books. Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Um, like I decided to start doing his meditations every single day after I hit such a low point. And I won't go into the whole story, but basically that changed my life. And would would I have gotten into that if I didn't have this crazy insomnia? Like I don't know. I don't know. So
Right.
it's so
Right.
crazy. Now I am so grateful that everything turned out the way it turned out. It's really wild the way life works. And Daniel says that, you know, people that are like type A, very planner type, these kinds of people are more likely to get into this madness. and
The
and
perfectionist types, yes, it is a little, we have a little bit more of a propensity, it's true.
yeah,
But
yeah,
anyone can develop insomnia, but yes, there is a little bit more of a propensity with the high achiever, perfectionist type
yeah,
A's. Yeah.
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 So I feel like as a person, I've actually changed a lot because I'm still not very good at it, but I've definitely improved at letting go and accepting. That is such a huge part, I think, of
It is.
recovery. And when you are very like controlling, you like to like control outcomes. You think like Another thing that I was doing when I was in the depth of insomnia that I could only realize once I'd kind of start like recovered a bit more was I would just blame everything on lack of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I would, if I forgot something or dropped something, or, I would be like, oh, that's because I didn't get enough sleep last night. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
and like, when I thought about it, I was like, no, I do this stuff like all the time, even when I sleep really well. So it's crazy how your brain like hyper focuses on this issue so much that you even like attribute all of these things that are not related to this, which
So true.
it's like
So
this
true.
tangled mess, this, and it just like
Mhm.
sucks in other areas of your life. But yeah, so letting go and noticing whenever I was, yeah, attributing things to the insomnia when it wasn't actually the case. And in the later stages, like even now, some nights, if I am taking a bit longer to go to sleep, the thought comes like, oh my God, what if you don't sleep tonight? And even before this call last night, I was like, imagine if you don't sleep tonight before this call. That would be really
Oh, it's
funny.
very common, by the way.
You would be a fraud if you came on the call after
No,
that.
you
But
wouldn't, because it's
but
really
but
common.
yeah, but now like I have that other voice that is like, no, we're not listening to you anymore.
Hmm.
It's like the first step is even just the awareness. I had no awareness
So
that
true.
these thoughts were going on. So even just to have the awareness and then over time having this other voice that counteracts that voice. So on nights when that thought comes in like, oh my God, what if you don't sleep tonight? Then now, thank God, I have that other voice that comes in and says, yeah, well, I mean, you've done it for like 4 years. You can
Yeah.
handle another sleepless night. It's fine.
Yes, that's exactly right. I mean, it is. It's like, I don't know what this new way of responding turns into. It does, like this deeper part of ourself that's like, no, no, you've got this. This isn't the end of the world. Like,
Mhm.
and now, I mean, I still have those thoughts sometimes. It's totally normal, but they don't have traction anymore. That's
Mhm.
how I like
Mhm.
to say it. It's like they just like it comes and then I'm like, yeah, I don't pay it
Mhm.
any attention, right? It's like it, and so it just leaves, right? And so it doesn't have traction. It's not gonna get in there, and I'm not gonna go down the thinking train and
Mhm.
into all of that. So I love the way you put it. Like there's almost these two different voices, this calm, like you've got this, it's fine, when the little
Yeah.
scared voice kind of comes in, and you have this other from experience, right? This voice coming in going, yeah, you got this, it's going to be fine. i
Mhm.
loved i love that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the angel and the devil.
Yeah. And I also think of it as like fear and like the voice of like love, like my inner
Mhm.
knowing, the
Mhm.
higher part of myself or whatever, right? It's like this voice of fear, which is totally okay too. I think of that as more like my child self, like, and that's
Mhm.
allowed to be there too, right? And then there's this like counter part of me
Mhm.
that's almost like mothering that
Mhm.
fear, that child, like, it's okay, we're going to be fine, I'm going to show you we're safe, it's all
Mhm.
good, right? And I like that too because it's like these two different voices almost, right? Or these two parts of ourselves. So, and
Mhm.
there's none, it's okay, like they're all allowed. So
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so, so good. I love this chat. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah.
So, the first one that we always ask everybody at the end of these interviews is if you were to travel back in time, before years ago, pandemic 2020, when this first started, is there some advice you could give yourself, something that you might say to yourself that would give you a little bit of hope or buoy you up during this really hard time?
Hmm. In 20, like at the beginning, definitely go and look at the sleep coach school on YouTube.
Good one. Good one.
um, because like that period of time when you really just don't know what's going on and you think you're the only person in the whole entire world that's going through this and nobody understands you is really isolating and painful, and yeah, it's very dark. um
Yeah.
but aside from that, and I know this already, but every I personally think that like my darkest moments are always my greatest catalyst for change. And I
Yeah.
did have that thought during the insomnia, but it's very difficult to really feel that when it's so dark sometimes. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, just like knowing that that was for my greater good, my greater growth, and it will get better, because my god, my belief that this is going to be my life forever was so strong sometimes, like so strong. It just felt like,
Yeah.
how can I ever counteract this belief? And maybe if I think, depending on our past, some people are more likely to go like worst case scenario, and I think that's my habit usually in the past.
Hmm.
So it was it was really like, oh my god, this is my life forever, how am I gonna deal with this? Like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but you did do it. You got through it, and I like to say the only way out is through, and you went through it, like you said, and that was this catalyst for so much growth for you, it sounds like.
Mhm.
That's really
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
thank you.
I find that with most people that we talk to, I mean, everybody that I've talked to for one of these interviews, it's like that, right? You never would have expected this journey to bring you out with this kind of growth
Hmm.
and change, right? And resilience within. So, yeah. Okay, second question. Have you found that this experience has helped you in other areas of your life? And you alluded to that somewhat about like the
Yeah.
control and letting go, but yeah, do you want to share a little bit more about that? Like a silver
Yeah.
lining.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so many silver linings. So, yeah, getting into Dr. Joe's work was a huge silver
Yeah.
lining.
Yeah.
And, his work changes you as well. So, yeah, accepting and letting go of control. Oh my God. Like, yeah, um, I am a different person now because of this. And even just it made me realize that I don't have to put 110% into everything all the time, because that was something that was feeding the insomnia loop as well. Was like, oh my god, if I don't sleep tonight, tomorrow I'm not gonna. I was teaching when I was in the depth of it. I was like, oh my god, I'm not gonna be able to teach. Like, I'm not gonna be able to string words together. I'm not gonna have this energy that's gonna like get the children excited, and that would make it so much worse. And in hindsight, I've always been somebody that it's like it's 110% or nothing, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be like that, and it's actually very exhausting to live your life like that. Like, it's okay to just try your best with the level of energy that you've got that day, whether like even
True.
whether you've slept or not, like your emotional energy as well. Like, it's okay to not
Yeah.
like kill yourself
Gosh,
trying
so
to.
so true. Such a good point. I couldn't agree with you more. I had to go through that too, where it's like, wow, well maybe I don't have to show up at 100%, or 110%. Maybe I can just show up. And maybe
Yeah.
I only have 5% in me today. That's okay, right?
Mm.
Like I don't have to be on. Like it doesn't have to be that way all the time. Like I feel like we've sort of been sold this bill of goods that we're supposed to feel great all the time. We're supposed to
Mm.
be happy all the time. We're supposed to be
Mhm.
like up and positive all the time. And I'm like, that's not even human. Like, it's like we all have ups and downs, and life is full of challenges and beauties, right? And so when I let myself off the hook in that way as well, like,
Mm.
okay, well, you can just show up at 5% today, 10%, whatever. And that was
Mhm.
incredibly helpful for me too. So I'm so glad you brought that up.
Mhm. Mhm. And another thing, sorry, I've got so many.
Oh, no, that's okay.
But this, I actually remembered this one, and I think it was really a big one for me too. This one's quite deep, but I think before my insomnia, I didn't know how to feel my emotions and be with my emotions. And
Oh, yeah.
after my insomnia, like, you have to learn how to be with that panic and sit with that anxiety and be able to regulate yourself and be like, this is uncomfortable, but it's okay. Like, we can like what you said, even like the visual of the inner child and the mother figure sitting together in this uncomfortable emotion together and feeling it instead of intellectualizing it as well, because that was my pattern
Absolutely.
before.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people's, yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, oh gosh, that you said that so beautifully. And I don't even want to add to it because it was perfect. So
Thank
I
you.
feel like we should end there because it was so well said. Yeah, I really really enjoyed our time together today, Simone. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
me
much.
too.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to do this. And I know that we're like in way different time zones, so enjoy your rest of your morning.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I will look forward to sharing this story with our community. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so
Community,
much.
you're welcome. Community, find us on the sleepcoachschool.com. We are here for you. Thank you so much for watching.
Hi, it's me, Coach Daniel, and I hope you are feeling excited right now because you're so close to the finish line of insomnia. And if you found that aha moment you've been looking for in this video, please share it with the world. Because insomnia can be such a lonely and isolating place before you find our community. Speaking of which, if you would like some more personalized support on your journey, then head over to thesleepcoachschool.com. We have free and paid courses available with certified sleep coaches who have seen the worst of insomnia, left the struggle, and now are ready to help you. If you decide to join, we look forward to seeing you on the other side.